Hey guys, this is the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. I've just talked about the Para 3 about 15 minutes ago. For you it might be a week, I don't know. Time is very relative out here. I bought this knife last August. The main reason why its previous owner sold it was the steel CTS BD1N. Me, I wanted to check out the lightweight model. I've seen some videos on it and it looked to be more comfortable in hand than the Spyderco Para 3. I got it for a decent enough price, so I said, why not? From the get-go, I want to say that I like this knife. Spyderco has a few lightweight models. Some of them are not really lightweight. The difference is just a couple of grams. For this one, you can actually feel it. I'm not sure what the weights of these knives are, but I can feel this is the lightweight version. And this one has the deep carry wire pocket clip. Some people don't like wire pocket clips. I'm not one of them. I actually prefer them. I think they are very good for everyday carry knives. Normal pocket clips that are not deep carry, like the Para 3, will set the knife pretty high in your pocket. Some people prefer this to be able to grab the knife really quick in case they need it. Now, me, I prefer the deep carry pocket clips. The deeper a knife sits in your pocket, the more comfortable it will be for you to carry it. Or at least that's how I see things. So I do like their deep carry wire pocket clips. Now, I've seen a guy actually have a very good argument and show the knife that for which it happened to him. It was, I think, Sage lightweight, and he snagged the knife and the FRN scale broke, so there was no way for him to just simply reattach it. He had to glue it or put a different pocket clip on there. So that might be a thing which, who knows if it works with FRN handle scales, but for me, like I said, I prefer them. Now, much like the Para 3 model, and unlike the Paramilitary 2, this one, you have to fidget a bit with it to get it to where it has good action and no blade play. Right now it doesn't have blade play and it's still nice and drop shut. But you do have to fidget around with it. Something you might have seen in a lot of other videos. As many other Spyderco Para 3s lightweight, this one is off-centered. If that is a thing which bothers you, I would say see if they come up with the next version who isn't off-centered, because most of these, from what I've seen, are off-centered. It doesn't bother me at all. As long as the blade does not touch the scales when it shuts or opens, I'm fine. The reason why they're off-centered is because you can see there's not much metal inside here. On this side, there's no metal. And here, you just have the compression lock and a bit of support. That's probably the reason why they're off-centered. For me, if they were to fix one thing or the other, the blade being perfectly centered or having the same system like they have in the Para 2 where you don't have to fidget around with the pivot screw, I would choose the latter. FRN handle scales. I like Spyderco's FRN handle scale. I like their bi-directional texturing. For the Delica, you can probably see it. It's a bit more aggressive. For this one, it's a bit smoother. Now, if you're gonna work with a knife, cut harder materials for a prolonged period of time, your hand will get tired. And in order for you to have more control, you will squeeze the knife harder in your hand. Or maybe you have a larger edge angle and you want that control, so you have to squeeze it. Squeezing this knife in my hand, I can feel my fingers digging into this texture, but not in an uncomfortable way. So holding the knife normally and just taking thin shavings, it's okay, it doesn't bother me. When I squeeze it harder, I can feel it, but it still doesn't bother me. Unlike the texture which you might be used for your Delica or your Endura with. Here, if I squeeze it with the same amount of force, I can feel it in my hand and it does bother me. This one is more pleasant. Well done, Spyderco. I like this. Now, there is a certain give because it doesn't have metal liners to back it off. Do you feel this in hand? I don't know about your hand. I don't. What I said about the Para 3, that my natural hand position when grabbing this knife is not here, but it's right here, and then still this hump doesn't bother me, but the pocket clip does, and I can choke up on it, and then I feel the jimping a bit, but still the pocket clip bothers me. In this regular position, I have the problem with the pocket clip and also this corner. With the Para 3 lightweight, regular hand position would be here, as intended. And down here, it doesn't bother me. If I choke up on it, still as comfortable. Well, maybe a little less control, I would say, unless I'm doing very controlled cuts right here. Then, yeah, it's okay. But if I'm doing power cuts and choking up on it, it's less comfortable than this position. However, whether I'm holding it like this or like this, the pocket clip does not bother me, and the butt of the handle doesn't bother me. So even though it's the same shape, almost, they rounded this one better off. Of course, you can probably do this on your Para 3 if you're so inclined to, but I think this one's very, very well made for what it is. The steel, let's touch on that. Some people say BD1N from the tests seems to be about as good as S30V. Some people say they don't like it. Personally, I like it. I sharpened this knife twice when I reduced edge angles. First time, sharpened it to 20 degrees per side, and then the second time to 17 degrees per side. And in between, I've kept it sharp simply by stropping it on a leather strop with Bark River's white compound. And that was it. For me, that's a huge plus. If I can keep a blade paper slicing or shaving sharp, that's even better. Simply by stropping it, that's a huge advantage. I think most people who use knives and can do this are happy. You will have to sharpen your knife, if that's the only knife you use, maybe once a year. That will do it. Plus, unlike other super steels, which you can get this model in, you don't need special sharpening stones. You can sharpen this on your Lansky, on your work sharp, sharpen it by hand on just about any sharpening stone. And I kept it sharp, like I said, simply using a leather strop with stropping compound. For me, it works. Now, things which have cut with it were plastic, cardboard, tons of wood, fruits and vegetables. I never hit any dirt, sand, or metal, so I never got any chips. One thing that I'd like to mention, maybe you can see the tip on the Para 3. It is much more acute, much more aggressive than the one on the Para 3 lightweight. Since this is a second-hand model, maybe its previous owner did ding up the tip a bit. I asked him, he said no, or maybe it was just like that. I have no issues with it. It just works. Now, a smaller blade like this, for about 99% of people, will be enough for their everyday carry tasks. People who need a bigger blade, more cutting edge length, I think those people know it, and they probably aren't very stuck to watching YouTube videos in order to pick the best knife for them. They probably have something bigger, which they know it works, and that's about it. But if you want to get something for everyday carry tasks, and you're like me, you like having a knife with you, even though you don't have so many things to cut, and whenever the opportunity arises, you're gonna use it to just cut away. I think this is a very good choice. Personally, I think it's a much better choice than the Para 3. I've talked with the Para 3 about the lanyard hole, which is just oddly positioned. It gets in the way of the pocket clip. Even if you put a deep carry pocket clip on it, doesn't really work. Here, I don't think you need a lanyard hole, but there are those people who do. And in this case, they put a lanyard hole in there, and it's in a good position. You're not going to cut it because it's in there inside the FRN tube. And sure, you still have the deep carry pocket clip. You can put your lanyard there. It's perfect. In hand, it is very comfortable. Bare hands. Now with gloves, just about any folder, any knife will be comfortable. But with your bare hands right now, it's cold and dry. My hands are cold and dry. And if I were to use something like this, after about 15 minutes, I would feel the texture bothering me. If I were to use something that's more aggressive, because of the shape of the handle, I would feel it bothering me. As it stands with this one, very well made. The shape of the handle, the bidirectional texturing, help you in having a very firm, very positive grip on this knife, for lack of better words, and it's just comfortable. I like it. I don't know if it's medium or large size hands, but my fingers are rather thinner than others, and this knife is very comfortable for me. In the choked up position, if I do real power cuts, that jimping does bother me a bit, but not so much as I would feel the need to actually take some sandpaper and smoothen it out. It's well done. My opinion on jimping is if it's there, it shouldn't bother you. Sometimes it does, but not in my everyday carrying of this knife. It actually never bothered me. What I would appreciate much more would be a thinner grind, a smaller edge angle. Those are always good things, but you're not going to get that. You have to do it by yourself if you want that. Like with this knife, it's very thin behind the edge, has a low edge angle. Right now it's somewhere about 12 degrees per side. It just plows through stuff. And when you're talking about smaller knives, that's what you want. A very thin grind, a very small edge angle. It allows you to not put as much force behind the cut. See, if I want to cut a piece of wood from here, get a deep bite, there's some effort. But if I want to do this with Delica, there's less effort and bigger chunks. Oh, but yeah, I think that if you're considering getting an EDC knife, this is definitely a good choice. It carries very well for everything you're going to need it. This is sufficient, and like I said, unlike the Para 3, where I think very little thought was put into it, it was just something that the people wanted and they produced. With the Para 3 Lightweight, there was some thought put into it, and it turned out quite well. These were my thoughts on the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. Hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you've heard something you didn't hear someplace else. That would always be a good thing. If you have any questions or comments about the Para 3 Lightweight, add them in the comment section. I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and as always, I wish you all a great day.